my friends stand by me only if I'm right. I come out of triple darkness just to see the light. If I say it once, I guarantee I say it twice. If they want me, I ain't going out without a fight. In my dreams, I'm a killer, but for God, man. Try to play it cool, but it's getting hard, man. Rolling with the real and death to all the frauds, man. Not too many of me, yeah, it's kinda hard, man. In my room, sitting in my room. Know they waiting on me and I'm coming soon. Never been a sellout, never been a coon. Y'all be on the camera acting like I'ma show them how true and independent get it. Whole game changed by the time I'm finished with it. We about to get this business handled in a minute.
Welcome to the B2m Podcast Crew. We're 5 black men who have been friends for over 40 years, have a combined 13 children, including 12 sons, been married for over 100 years, coming to you chopping it up about conversations we've been having over a lifetime of this friendship and just sharing with you some insight into how we raise our children, not necessarily how you should be doing it, but again, how we did it. Just having some real conversations. I'm joined on my right by my man JG. What's up, JG?
What up, though? What's up?
Look at my man Chill all the way from the ATL. We got the world's ambassadors, the unofficial mayor of Charlottesville, Albemarle County metropolitan area.
Albemarle County representative. It's growing on
over here. What up, Joaquin?
What's good?
And over there we got brother Muhammad J. Moo.
Peace
J.
and blessings.
Moo, what it do?
You got it.
Y'all like that little rhyme, right? But I did that little rhyme because we got an interesting topic for you today. Again, we're live at the Code Building in downtown Charlottesville. Wonderful co-working space for incubator space for building, for businesses, entrepreneurs, people that need meeting space, wonderful amenities, professional setting. We're happy to be here. So come check the Code Building out for your special event co-working needs. Today, fellas, we having a conversation about something that's hot. Now, most podcasts out now, a lot of them are about hip-hop, many of them and around hip-hop culture.
Yeah.
Right? The music. So ours isn't around that, but we're going to get in today to talk about hip-hop, the culture, its impact on young people, and what potentially we would share with our young people about navigating a culture, right, and a music genre that is really the biggest music genre in the world right now, right? You can't turn on any television show without hearing a hip-hop beat or a sample. You know, I forgot what I was watching the other day, and it was a Biggie sample on a commercial that I was like, what in the world do they got Biggie on? I mean, you know, on this for? But the music is so prevalent. The culture is so attractive and also potentially damaging to our young people. So just in general today, with what you all see coming out of hip hop, and even if you aren't listening to the music, we got sons, we know they listening to trap music. Some of them listening to drill. We got Afro beats out here now. And really the culture that's driving it has something to do with the clothes we wearing, how we function on social media, so-called, what's the code, the no snitching culture, and what makes us cool. So what are you all seeing today when it comes to the impact of hip hop and the so-called culture on our young people and what you might have shared with your son? Anybody?
Well, before we get started, I want us to make the distinction between black culture and hip hop culture, and hip hop culture being a subset of black culture, so to speak. And so how we talk about that, you know. Yeah. My mama and them, they know nothing about no hip hop culture, you know, but they're obviously a part of black culture. So we talking about, make sure as we had this conversation that we make that distinction, you know, that we not just talking about hip hop culture, or we might be, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you make a point. Like if you're, I'm going to say, let's see, my oldest brother is 58, right? He was born in 64, right? So you think about when he was 18, he graduated high school in 83. That was about when the birth of when hip hop started becoming. It was around in the 70s, right? But that was when it started becoming commercially popular.
Yeah, correct.
Right? For us who was born in 71, 70, like 72, we were born when hip hop was conceived. And we're generally a generation that's still our predominant music that we listen to. So, but I do agree it's a subset of.
I think it's funny too, because I think we're the first generation where we listen to the same music our kids listen to. You know,
Right.
for years and times, you know, the next generation always found something different to listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
But for us, our kids started out listening to the same stuff
Right.
we listening to. Now, as it has gone into drill music and that type of thing, obviously that's a little
Yeah, we listen
past
to the
us.
same genre.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
now
yeah,
it's a little different, but
I still to this day, back to our kids, I think that again, my youngest son raps, he's an MC. And I know it's because when I was taking him to football practice, I was listening to Biggie, Nas, and Hov.
correct.
I know it is. I mean, you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So they listen to what we were listening to some degree. But to that point, man, how do we see first let's start with this. What is your view of hip hop culture right now? Let's start there.
Somebody else go first.
I'm gonna answer your question, but when I first thought about when you talk about music, and I used to agree with that. You said we the first generation listening to our kids' music, and we listen to the same music, so to speak. Hey, I love the old school Motown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Teddy P. You know, and Bobby Womack and all them old guys. And so sometimes our kids, like my son, like Keith Sweat. You know what I mean? So that was our thing coming up as teenagers, right? He still listens to some of that, and it's so funny to see him listen to that. But man, my first thought is like music is so powerful, right? And it can motivate you to do things. You gotta just like food, right? But you gotta watch what you put in your mind. And that's when we talk about the subgenres of hip hop, right? From the Sugar Hill Gang to, like you're saying, to the drill music that's out today. It's a whole different vibe, you know? And so a lot of music is phenomenal. You just gotta watch out for some of that. You just can't put that negativity in your head like that.
So the question was, what do you think about hip hop culture today? Your point is, it's some good, powerful music, but there's some negativity in it. What negativity?
Yeah. Hey man, anything that is glorifying violence and guns and set, you know what I'm saying? That's not, and I listen to it. You know what I mean? I do listen to it, but you can't listen to that all day long. You know what I mean? It's just not, it's not healthy, bro. Sometimes I think you have life imitating art. You know what I mean? And rather than art imitating life.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it. Can I go back a little ways?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, because I know what you asked, but I'm gonna take it. For me, for instance, you know, hip hop had a stronghold on me, you know, and what I mean by a stronghold, I was when I was growing up, you know, when it was time to you know, act foolish, right, on my behalf, you know, fighting and stuff like that. You know, I'm listening to the music to get motivated. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize that it had that much impact on me until my brother, you know, he was like, man, that music is ruining you. I'll to bust you in your head, you know, stop. And then, like, I remember him. Like, I know we old. We said we old. He took my cassette tape and destroyed it in front of me, and we went to war.
Which one was it? Which one?
Probably NWA or something like that.
Scarface.
It was Scarface.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
Scarface
I was
tape.
about to say, chill.
Hey, yo, I was about to
Yeah,
say,
the
like, in
Scarface
the
tape.
neighborhood, I do remember Talik and them walking around with this lynch mob paraphernalia.
Yeah,
Him
that,
and the little knuckle. You know,
Bro.
I was like, what is these youngins doing?
Let me tell you
they was the
something.
new NWA in Jeffersontown, right?
let me tell you something
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
funny.
Hey, you mentioned lynch mob, right? So keep in mind, I'm a knucklehead, right? At the time, you know, or that's what I'm displaying through music, you know, and moving about. But man, that lynch mob, man, I was so excited to get that sweatshirt, right? Because yo, we had came up with a little ignorant group, right? And and I was so excited to get this sweatshirt. And you know, back then when you went to the mall, and back then when you went to the mall, each letter cost something. And I had this nice black sweatshirt. At least I thought it was nice.
It was.
And
nice.
and man, I came home, yo, and I was rocking it. And my mother went ballistic. She snatched that shirt off of me and was like, boy, what are you doing? And I was like, "Why we lynch mob?" Ain't no lynch mob in this house. And this is the truth. She snatched my sweatshirt.
Took it over his head.
How old was I?
I don't know.
Right,
You was
16,
a teenager, yeah.
16, 17, something
Pulled it
like
over
that.
his head.
I did not see that. She kept that sweatshirt. I did not see that sweatshirt until I was grown with my son. And she brought it to Atlanta and showed me. And I was like, oh, man, are you like, I'm looking at it and I was like, I just threw it in the trash.
Yeah.
You know
Obviously
what I mean?
not aware of the historical meaning with regards to
What's
lynch
that?
mob. I'm saying, was that what had her enraged?
It was just running around trying to be tough.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it was like more gang type.
She seen
thing.
where it was going.
She saw it as being a gang.
And-
it was not
and it
what you think.
It
okay.
was going it was going the wrong way for sure.
So you basically though, but the start of your story was to say initially hip hop had a negative influence on you because you use it as motivation music.
I don't get me totally wrong. I enjoy hip hop, but those particular songs motivated me
Like
to do
NWA,
foolishness.
Scarface.
Yeah,
Ghetto
yeah,
Boys.
And that's
yeah.
what we was.
But the beginning of what they call gangster rap.
Right.
right. So I didn't even know it had that type of power over me, and I appreciate my brother, busting me in the head, snatching whatever we did or whatever. Of course, we got to fighting, but I appreciate it because it stuck to me. Because sometimes, man, when you going through stuff, you don't even know it, and I needed to be aware of, this thing really do got me, But of course, in the meantime, you playing this role like, man, it don't have no impact on me, like. And I didn't realize until later on how much it really did have on me.
Yeah.
Did you ever break up any of his New Edition tapes?
I knew that was gonna come up.
That would have been war.
Hey,
You
look,
better not break my Candy Girl album.
Yeah.
That was motivating you to do something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, but yeah.
What about you, J Moo? What's your take on current hip hop culture?
Well, I was just sitting here thinking of how interesting it is that we should kind of fall within the same generation. However, it was certain forms of hip hop that appealed to him being a few years younger than we. And like my thing, I liked conscious rap, you know what I mean, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Public Enemy, KRS-One, Tribe Called Quest. Those were my favorites, that I gravitated towards. And so then this generation, or like I guess my youngest son, kind of liking those who are, I guess, are kind of this generation's form of that, of conscious type. Your J. Cole, your Kendrick Lamar. Who else does he like? Well, Drake, not so much conscious, but anywho, for him to like them. So it's a few out of them that I, of this generation that I can gravitate to and appreciate their music, their style, their the production, and just or sound or whatever. But not so much, because it's just not that much out there that speaks to being more responsible socially.
So
and I was mad excited when you told me that KRS-One had dropped something I think last year, past year or two. And that joint is banging too.
So your take is hip hop has become irresponsible.
It seems to have, you know what I mean? Because if you look at, I guess, I mean, not that I'm any type of historian of hip hop or anything like that, but being just in the beginning, being somewhat socially conscious with was it Grandmaster and them?
Yeah.
Then going to more of a party type feel, you know what I'm saying? Good time type thing like that, and then coming back a little bit to social or conscious rap, and then, as you said, then coming into the whole what they call gangster piece with NWA and Ghetto Boys and whoever else, and then it kind of, here and there you would have a little bit of rap that made sense that would come out, but they became so few in the in the industry or the culture, if you will, and it began to then the violence and or what they call misogyny and all of that became prevalent in the thing that most of the youth gravitated towards. So still somewhat that way, I believe now, and that seems to have put a chokehold on the culture, so to speak. And so, that's why it is, it's very seldom that I may have it on a hip hop station or anything. I really listen to NPR, NPR mostly.
Joaquin, what you thinking, man?
Soul House. No.
What you thinking, Joaquin?
Oh man, I think obviously when we talk about hip hop culture, it's not just music.
Right.
I think Allen Iverson had a tremendous impact on bringing the hip hop culture into like the NBA,
right,
and exposing the NBA and really more mainstream society to hip hop culture.
Right.
Like with anything, it doesn't matter. There's good and there's bad aspects of it. When you think about the good aspects of it and how so many people have used hip hop and entertainment to bring their families out of poverty, used it as a vehicle to change their social status and class. When you look at the top 10 billionaires in this country right now, arts and entertainment and sport are responsible for at least 70 or 80% of it, with the exception of, David Stewart and, a couple of other people. That's it. Everyone else, arts and entertainment, from Tyler Perry to Oprah, are responsible. So when you think about how this art form and how this culture has allowed so many people to rise up and change their economic status, that's a wonderful, wonderful aspect of it. The flip side of it is what my brother talked about, listening to the violence in the music. And it doesn't matter why those songs were made. They still produced a certain outcome. It's not hard to rationalize why the same way gospel music make us feel a certain way and turn us toward God, other music can make you feel a certain way and turn you toward, something that's negative. What I recognized in my brother when he was going through what he was going through, obviously I'm a big New Edition fan, folks know that. But what I saw in him was, I knew what kind of person he was. I knew what kind of character he truly had. And I knew there was an outside influence that was producing what I was seeing. And so from my perspective, it was the music he was listening to, and obviously I cared enough for my brother that I felt like that was something worth going to war over, because I felt like that music was taking him in a direction that I know was not indicative of how we were raised, and that it was going to cause problems and it was going to bring tears to my mother's eyes and some other folks in our family, if he had continued operating that way. So yeah, we got to fight now.
You know what?
Because you about to make mama cry. So we got to fight.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about what you're saying is like you can't even destroy your brother's music now. Because it's streaming.
Yeah, I couldn't break
the way we access it anywhere, it's crazy, right? And to the point where
that's funny.
Talik was ready to fight because he either had to stand in the line as Sam Goody or stay up on the radio with the 3 buttons on the recorder and press record.
They weren't playing that on the radio.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
What I was listening to.
Somebody had to
I'm pointing out the errors, man, because when we started out, it was the Sugar Hill game was late. It was The Message.
Yeah.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
Love it.
It was Houdini. It was
Mhm.
Space Ghost. It was LL later than that. It was breakdancing associated with it. So when people was beefing, they used to get together and be a breakdance. We're going to battle.
Yeah.
The battle, man, brothers was going to dance it off.
Yes.
Then you get to the mid-'80s and LL being so commercial and Run DMC. Those were the 2 big commercial, and Curtis Blow.
Yeah.
When it began to get real commercial, like on a large scale with Def Jam, to when we was in high school and look at the introduction of the crack era into hip hop. So now you getting money. It was people getting money in music and it was people getting money on the block. So now when art imitates life, we got the drug selling narratives.
Right.
We got the gun toting narratives. You know, hip hop began to change, even though KRS-One, shout out to Grand Poobah, shout out to Poor Righteous Teacher, shout
Public
out to
Enemy.
Public Enemy, shout out to Big Daddy King, Eric B. and Rakim, all of these
Oh
five
my gosh.
percenters
Yeah.
that was integrating knowledge into their music. But then you got the crack era and people getting money, and now we got Benzes involved, we got trucks involved, we got violence involved, we got drug turf being involved in. Drug dealers wanted to be rappers, and rappers wanted to be get in the drug game, and ballers wanted to get in the drug game, and drug game wanted to be ballers, right? So now we got this big cultural clash with violence going on. And so it begs a question, not just about what we were doing as the consumers and as entrepreneurs trying to make it. Because you got to think, I know when I went to Virginia State in the early 90s, DOS Effects was at Virginia State.
Yeah, right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So now this industry was built by people our age. So when I'm at State and there's brothers I know from New York, shout out to my man Cam from Virginia State, whose cousin was Lord Finesse.
Right.
Right? Like they were the same age as people that was famous in the game. Oh yeah, he live on my block.
Right.
Oh, he around the corner.
Right.
So the culture was so accessible back then, right?
Mm.
And the violence. So now it grows and all of this money came in. Who allowed, when you look at the NWA music, what were the executives that allowed violent drug music about gangs to be disseminated on a broad scale? That was a decision.
Absolutely.
That was a conscious decision that they would not have made for white children. I'm just being frank.
Right.
And knowing that the issues in the 90s with the Iran-Contra scandal, where they were using guns put into the black community by the CIA to finance a Nicaraguan war and all of this stuff, right? And they dropping guns off in the crack game. Right. So my point is, there's a hidden hand behind this that we got to talk about, because let's be honest, the music today is filthy.
Oh, absolutely.
It is sexually filthy. The language is graphically filthy. There's less morality that you can gain from consuming the music. Joaquin said in an earlier episode that whoever has your ear has your destiny. Well, who got the destiny of our children right now?
Wow.
It's the rappers. Right. And I ain't hating on them. Shout out to the brothers that's getting their bag, right? But they are the ones who our children see as leaders. They are the ones who our children see as messengers. So if you ask me the current state of hip hop, it is destroying our community, the misuse of it and the ill-guided messaging around fighting over clothes, and I gotta have $1,000 shirt on, and you got these kids that can't access it like that, fighting and killing over it. That's why I'm talking about the culture. The culture is ruining the fabric of our community. And I love hip hop and I love the people in it. But I'm talking about how the game is being played and what it's doing, because most rappers, they don't want their kid growing up in a bad school. They're sending their kids to private school.
Right.
They're not sending their kids to school in the hood they grew up in. They don't live in the hood. It's too dangerous that they grew up in.
Right, because they feel they shouldn't have
But
to.
in the music,
Right.
we promoting thug life. We promoting all of this stuff, man, that, to be honest, is destroying the trajectory of our community and the fabric of it that's already compromised by so many other things. So to me, my thing was to tell my sons first is, this is fiction. This is not real, right? And if I see it changing you like it began to change to Leak, you can't consume it in my house, because you need to see it the same way you look at literature or a story you read. And most of these dudes that's thugging, a lot of them are really thugging, but most of them not.
Yeah.
It's lying. They fronting, right, to get sales. So I want to talk about, and I think we can focus in on, do y'all agree it's destructive to a progressive community and the growth of our community?
Oh, definitely. And what you didn't mention in those long lists is the influence of Uncle Luke as well, right? With the sexual aspect of exporting the
It all
ladies.
did start. Now, I'm not saying that, because the gangster rap, all that stuff started with our generation and Luke.
Yeah. So that in addition to, and again, in and of itself, when you talk about freedom of speech and these, the words alone, it has its place. It has its place. But if it's 90% of what's out there, then it becomes an issue. You understand what I'm saying? Just like you said, what you put in with your mind, your diet. You know, I would like a bag of Doritos from time to time. But if I'm eating it all day long, I'm going to kill myself. And so we can't, again, constantly put that in our minds, man. It's like you said, bro, listen to Luther, some Johnny Gill and Stacey Lattisaw is going to put you in the mood.
But isn't it just as different? It's about, if we talking about the culture being, hip-hop culture being bigger than the music, it's the clothes, bro.
Yes.
Right.
It's the aspirations. It's all of that. So my point is, when you say it, we got to get into calling it for what it is. When you talk about you consuming it, like we wouldn't say, look, some of the, you can get high if you smoke crack, but you can't smoke crack all the time.
Right.
Or, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that might be a stretch in terms of an analogy for that, but what is it, what I see it doing as a former high school principal, I see it destroying the perception, or I see it destroying and impacting what people think reality is, right? So,
if you don't have the proper guidance at home or somewhere, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it somewhere. So for some of our people, they find it in the music.
Well, you mean guidance, not proper guidance, because
that's what I'm about to
we're
ask.
about to gravitate to it because it's not proper guidance, but you, like you said, guidance.
Yeah, if you don't, you're gonna use it as a guide for your life if you don't have something else to guide your life. You know, so that's why you can't keep it in this place of fiction, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, I now I'm using it to shape my ideology. I'm using it to shape my behavior. So now I don't have the ability to keep it as fiction anymore because it serves a purpose for me. So it don't matter whether it's, you know, what's my man, Snoop or Wiz Khalifa. You know, if you're deeply into that type of music, I'm quite sure it influences your behavior to maybe smoke a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, it's only natural.
Right. It normalizes.
It normalizes. It's only natural that you're going to engage in that type of behavior. So we want to make sure we try to keep our young people in the mindset of the values that we're teaching at home and not allow the music and the negative influences to start to shape and create their behaviors for them. So
so the parenting part is, if you well-rounded and you've been parenting, the impact of the music
you can listen to Wiz and you can listen to Snoop or you can listen to NWA or what's my man, Ghost, what's the Scarface?
Yeah.
You can listen to all of that and keep it in this proper perspective.
Right.
So a lot of this, you know, a lot of times, remember when they were putting labels on music and all that stuff, you know, it's because parents weren't able to have real conversations with their young people to tell them how to handle this. So listen, if I got guns in my house and I'm teaching my son how to shoot, I need the same way I'm giving him proper instruction on how to shoot is the same way we need to give proper instruction on how to consume entertainment.
Right.
You know, because if we don't, it can be harmful. You know, so I see it the same way.
To a larger question, I'm sorry.
No.
Cool. What do you think about like groups like we talk old school, Public Enemy, Poor Righteous Teachers, etc. Do you feel like there's a lot of young cats now that has that music, but it's not being promoted or pushed by the companies?
Absolutely.
It's not being played on the radio. It's not being, and why is that?
Bro, if you're a conscious rapper right now, your trajectory, your pathway is nil. And because they have created a culture where filth is what sells, and they going with what sells.
That's exactly the point I was about to make. It's so everything is so marketable now. You know, I mean, you got entertainers or rappers and or singers or artists and stuff like that. They got their own brand of, you know, alcohol beverage. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's marketed, but they understand now that, hey, this is how you get the money. Hey, it's like the alcohol matched the music because it's played in the club. And, you know, and so, hey, why don't we rally around this bottle and have everybody, you know, going in and everybody say, oh, all I drink is such and such. You know, all I drink is this. And so they just making, tons of money. And I'm not hating on, that marketing strategies, but at the same time, and they know, just like sex sales and they know these things, and what they do, they put it in the music.
Well, I tell you what, man, if you flip the script and you had a music that was impacting the white community, like hip hop impacted the black community, it wouldn't be out.
Right.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be financed. It wouldn't be supported by these corporate. Because even the liquor deals you're talking about, I think Jay-Z really is the only one that actually owns his brand. Everybody else is really just a paid sponsor that they call a partnership.
License and agreement.
That's all it is, right? And so, when we look at it like that, man, I don't know if we in a sense we almost talking about blood money. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
and what's blood money?
Blood money in the sense that you being paid to market something that is destroying your community.
Oh, okay.
The bottom line.
Did you see the meme that was going around? Well, it's not a meme. It was a clip of a pastor, and he did a TED talk on it.
Oh, wow.
And where he was saying basically like, he said they would never
Mike Smith
release
Mike.
music.
Mike,
release music talking about killing dogs.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But they release 100 songs talking about killing black people all day long. So it's a choice that some people in power have made, and then we reinforce that choice with our dollars as consumers.
That's exactly right.
So from their perspective as business people, they think, hey, we just giving you what you want.
Yeah.
And so if we put our money behind Common or Kendrick Lamar in a huge way, that's what they give it. They just trying to make money.
Yeah.
These folks just trying to make some money. So they responding to where we put our dollars. And so, y'all know this. We talk about the fall of America being rooted in the decay of the educational system in this country. When you start to think about why are we consuming this garbage, we're consuming this garbage because we're not being properly educated. We're not being properly educated. So if we're not being properly educated, I can feed you some trash all day long.
And you gonna consume it.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you brought that up, it also had me thinking of our experience, though, in America has been a violent experience, been a dysfunctional experience. So is that why we gravitate and consume that so easily versus
resistant?
It being an art? No, but it being as it should be, an art form. That's an art form. It's storytelling. It's poetry, and those are the things that made it. As far as the beginning of hip hop, was that of storytelling and like again somewhat poetic, but then where it then became this thing of, like you said, just more of commercializing and being and marketing violence and sex and drugs or whatever the case. That's what was lost. So is it? I think we can probably tie the our sojourn here in America and the experience we had with why that gravitate, and that seems to be what
that was the original assault against the fabric of the community.
Right.
And look, check this out, man. A couple great points. One point is, let's not make no mistake about it. Hip hop, there is not billions of dollars in hip hop because black folks buying it.
Big facts.
That's correct.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
There is billions of dollars in hip hop because white folks consume it.
Very
right?
true.
So for them, it's entertainment. They looking at the circus. Right?
Right.
Some of their children try to imitate the circus and all of that, but they imitate the circus. They up in their white frat houses singing all the lyrics that they can't sing publicly because they're gonna get canceled. Nigga this, nigga that. It all creeps out, right? So that's what lets you know, and that's sort of the offshoot of it is corporations are really back in the industry that's poisoning their children too, but we're just the actors. We're the ones, we're the spectacle, we're the circus act.
Right.
That they get to look into and then go back to their world where they don't have to be impacted by gun violence in their community, by the dope in their community and all of that stuff. Now that's changed a little bit with this pill thing, right? because
Absolutely.
that fentanyl and those pills permeating everywhere.
Opioid
right?
addictions.
But that's one point. The other point I want to make, man, is you said something about education, and I got it. I've been developing this thought, been growing in my mind. When you look at the decline in reading scores since the 1960s, when we had pure music, and even the 70s, if you didn't go to college, you were still graduating very literate in the 70s and 80s, right? If you look at the decline of reading scores, you see the decline of lyricism in hip hop.
There's
Do
a
you understand
correlation.
what I'm saying?
There's a correlation.
It's a direct correlation.
Yeah.
I might be the first one coining that. But real talk, Jay-Z, Nas, Lil Wayne, Biggie, go back and read the history that they were all good English students.
And Kanye and his mother.
Go back and read the history. These dudes with language, they had gifted with language. And so Rakim, all of his lyrics, no cursing, fit perfectly into those bars with the amount of syllables he was using. So now we went from metaphors and analogies to the lowest form of comparison, which is a simile. You like this, I'm like that, as opposed to double meaning and all of this stuff. Now it's uttered phrases. Come to my gun, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da. It's shit is like nursery rhyme, right? Because there is a decline in education, to your point.
Wow.
And so the consumers in our community of hip hop, they don't value lyricism anymore because I'm not at that language level. I don't even know what you're talking about when you're doing metaphors. Go ask the same
Metaphors and
children
allegories.
that
I'm
love
lost.
the phrasal music, which is drill, trap. Go ask them, put a metaphor on them on a test and tell them to break the metaphor down. They don't have the language skills.
Wow.
Right? I might not be popular for saying this, but I'm a student of the language.
And
Right?
a teacher.
I can say this, right? There has been a decline that is reflected in the quality of the lyricism and poetic genius of the music, right? And so you're exactly right about
That's
the
heavy.
impact of education, to the point now where with the drill music, it's just straight murder music.
Oh.
Run on your ops this, mow your mama down, mow everybody down. Ain't no code around any of it. And I'm flossing and I'm flexing. And the saddest part is everybody our age who were some of the patriarchs and the OGs in hip hop, they still out there co-signing this stuff, man. You understand what I'm saying? The tough thing, the toxic masculinity, like you ain't
Because
no
they
real,
don't want to interfere with their bag.
Exactly.
Right.
You ain't
Right.
a real one if you ain't representing the culture. Most of the podcasts about hip hop is dudes our age telling drug stories from when they were 17, 18 years old. And the kids these days like it. They just like hearing narratives.
Yeah,
They
that's
like
true.
hearing the stories, but they're actually out there grown ups our age beefing over stories about the 80s crack game and who the real one and who ain't the real one.
Wow.
So it's just a major sickness that's going on in our community right now. And then again, if we don't do something about it, like now we got babies running around 12, 13 years old, carjacking, because I want what you got. You know what I mean? There's nobody telling me there's another way to get it.
So then the question is for us to answer, what do we do so that as our kids consume this music, it does not have the negative impact on them? What are we trying to do? What did we do in our household?
Values.
Well, yeah,
What was mentioned earlier, just establishing a firm core set of values in the household that you would, again, hope that they stick to, and that was firmly rooted and planted in their minds to give their character a foundation that when they do, it's easy for them to kind of see it as as fiction, and not to be easily influenced by it and to allow it to take it down that path. If you don't have a support system, an older brother who had to step in as a father, in a sense, as a father figure, being that close to his brother to be able to do that. So just establishing that code of values.
For me, I just pouring love in my son, man. Just
That's
demonstrate.
always the answer, ain't it? No, but it is.
But
it
I'm
really
just,
is.
I'm just
When
That's
it's
telling
always
you
the answer.
because
that's
if you
always
put
the answer.
if you
Whatever we talking about,
right.
that's gonna be the answer.
Because what I'm putting in him, I wanted to overpower whatever he's taking in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like they say, television is telling a vision, and you watching it and stuff, and it's planting seeds in you. And so I'm just always putting something in him that's positive, and I'm hoping to overweigh the negative force that's coming in. And so I'm pouring in him, right? Not only just regular talking, but you know, we at church as well, you know, consistently going to church, not getting excited because we go to church one time a year, you know.
East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no shade on nobody,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, like this is our lifestyle, you know. This is our lifestyle, and this is how we operate, and this is how we move. And everybody had our own opinion about it, but it working in our house. And if some change, then of course more talking.
So
More
did you
confirmed.
have to shield, you know what I mean? Because I guess to help anybody that may be checking out our podcast, at what point would you think to kind of, or at a certain age that you can say, okay, they can handle that without being heavily influenced? Or did you find yourself shielding your son from some of the stuff and just kind of keeping it, with particular artists or something like that,
It never really was a problem in my household. You know, I mean, Tyreek, he like a lot of old school music and stuff like that. He not heavy in, rap. I'm pretty sure he got his favorite artists as well, but I like why identified it was an issue for me. I never seen any issues, so I ain't really have to address it, so.
Well, I did. I mean, I know I was conscious of what I played around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, if I'm gonna work out or something like that, I still like a lot of old school stuff, NWA, whatever. But I wasn't playing that for my son. I would play some Boogie Down Productions or, some LL or something more.
Mama
positive.
said, knock you out.
Bro,
I'm gonna knock you out.
I want you to finish. But when they listen to that old stuff, they be like, Dad, that was trash. I'm telling you, they tell me, they be joking around me like, I said the hoop, the boop, bop, the boop, bop. They be like, that was trash. And I be in my feelings. I was like, that's all we had. You know what I'm saying?
But that goes back to a whole lot of stuff they listening to now is trash.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of it is just
But-
beat
But and then the beef,
or beat.
Yeah,
Everybody
but
talking about
as soon as you said that, made me think about the rap beef. Now I didn't get caught up and follow all the beefs because I'm like, man, whatever.
It's all about beef now.
Yeah, so I'm like,
Oh,
This
really?
artist
Marketing.
said something about this
Marketing,
artist.
yeah.
Like boxing promoting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Promote the fight.
Or I think maybe when we grew up, and we're gonna sound like some old out of touch folks.
oh, yeah.
But,
Maybe we are.
certain
We are.
movies you weren't supposed to see until you got a certain age. You know what I mean? So it was a conscious effort to keep a child. Now it seems like there's no limit to the cussing and the alcohol and the weed or whatever. Our folks drink, and smoke. You know what I mean? But hey, going outside. Boy.
Children supposed to stay in children's
Yeah,
place.
exactly.
Children supposed to
But
be
bro,
seen,
the problem is
seen
it's
and not heard. All
because
that.
the
All that.
technology didn't enable it to be everywhere.
They
Now it's
controlled it.
everywhere.
They controlled it.
Yeah.
They had the record play.
But I think it's a whole bunch of irresponsible parenting too.
It is.
You know what I mean? Because you'll
Facts.
have parents that don't think like us, young fathers or whatever the case, and they'll play all of that in front of their 3-year-old. You know what I'm saying, 3, 4-year-old and whatnot, and then that's the challenge when it comes to protect, because you can't protect your child in school because you know what I mean, the little buddy that whose parent allows them to listen to that and hear that your child hadn't heard of that. Like they come back and like, you like, where you hear that from or whatever. Is difficult to protect them.
You saying younger parents, but the problem is it's people our age.
Mm-hmm.
They're still trying to be about that culture. That's
Right.
the culture part, right?
Wow.
Still want to be fly girl. We got on, if we can't afford the Louis, we still get on fake Louis,
Right.
fake Gucci.
Right.
And if we can't afford it, we got it on knowing it's not a value in terms of, I mean, it's one thing if you can afford it, fine. I'm not hating on that.
Right.
I'm just saying for people that are mature enough, like it's different when you say I get it because I like it as opposed to I'm getting this because it's going to make me fly and it's just going to make me popular and they gonna see me with this bag. It's a lot of people our age, to your point about the parenting, that's endorsing and co-signing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? The whole culture, like, that's why all of this whole, like, everybody our age are the ones promoting, the big promoters of the stop snitching.
Oh,
No snitching, right?
Okay,
No,
Like, and that's huge. Like,
don't get me
like, so I
talking
don't
about
know,
that.
like,
We
my
want you
sons
to talk
watch these
about
podcasts. They, like, I don't know if y'all familiar. Tyreek and Darius might be familiar with Taxstone and Troy Ave. They had a shooting in New York. Taxstone was a podcaster. Troy Ave is a rapper. They in this New York club, I think it was Irving Place or something, where Taxstone got into it with Troy Ave's bodyguard. He pulls out a gun, shoots him in the club. Troy Ave, the rapper, wrestles the gun away from Taxstone, and he starts shooting people on the way out. Both of them charged with murder at first, right? Troy Ave is being called a snitch because he testified about what happened. So the expectation is, I get my bodyguard get killed, dude trying to kill me, I get the gun from him. It's snitching if I tell the court what happened. And that's the culture we dealing with in a lot, seriously. Like it's snitching. Everything is snitching. If somebody goes to jail as a result of you talking to the police, it's snitching, regardless. And that's that machismo community stuff that we dealing with, man, because kids growing up with the value system that it's wrong for me to tell the truth regardless of the circumstances, as opposed to it's right for me to tell the truth regardless of the
Man, let me tell you something. And this is why I live what I call the life of a square. You know, I'm not in those streets. I'm working, I'm a realtor. I'm working Main Street. I'm a part of what they call mainstream America. You know why? Because I'm not buying into no damn code that's going to take me away from my family. I'm not buying, you can take that code and stick it you know where. I'm not buying into that code that's going to take me away from my family and send me to the penitentiary for 25, 30 years.
In honor of some street code.
In honor of some street code.
Some
I don't live that life. I'm not a part of that world. I am not a part of that world. So I'm not buying into none of that nonsense, man. You know, that's why I live the life I do. I'm not going out committing crimes with nobody. I'm not doing none of that stuff. So you ain't got to worry about me snitching on nobody because I wasn't with you. I don't even know to tell it. Okay?
Right.
All right? But here's what I am telling you. If some stuff happened in my neighborhood and happened at my neighbor's house and I see it happen, you damn right I'm going to tell the police who did it.
Yeah.
You damn right. I'm not being a snitch. I'm being a good neighbor. I'm being a citizen.
Right.
And whoever don't like that, it's just too bad.
Right.
Because that's how I
life
feel.
over death for the whole community.
That's right, man.
Right.
And that's what's going. So we talk about why the police not solving crimes and solving murder. Well, if you done killed somebody in the neighborhood and everybody know who did it and nobody's saying a word, why you think the police supposed to care about it?
Right.
Why you think the police supposed to care about it? Everybody know who did it and nobody's saying a word.
Right.
So I'm not, like I said, I'm not buying into no culture and no street code, nothing that's going to take me away from my family for 25, 30 years. You can take that somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you buy into that, you placing your values on that. That's why.
But you ain't gangster then.
But no, I'm not gangster.
You ain't gangster.
I'm a square.
But you the square.
I'm square.
But what about what we got to talk about? What we telling parents to tell their kids, and I get your message, all of it. And I guess that's your point is you telling them to tell your kids.
Here's the other part to it.
Go ahead.
I don't live in a community where my kids speak about what they just saw happen at the neighbor's house, that there's going to be some repercussions. I don't live in that community.
That's easy. Yeah, so that's easy
So
for you to
you know,
come from that.
I always like to
square
say,
perspective.
and I'm not rich by no means, but my value system got a whole lot better when I had a little more money in the bank.
Right.
Like it's real simple. You know, it's easy to tell somebody, hey, you dropped your money, your wallet, pick it up. And, oh, that's your money, you just dropped it. You know, it's easy to say that when I got $20.
You know what the bull issue is though? Is that I live in suburban Maryland,
Uh-huh.
right? I live in Maryland, you know, I live in a county that's the second wealthiest majority black county in the country, right? Bordering the third wealthiest majority black county in the country. We got a bunch of so-called people following the code that live in $400,000 and $500,000 houses.
Wow.
So it's not just
900,000.
about you in the
Money.
suburbs. We're in the suburbs. The money, no, this is the impact of the culture. Is
Right.
You got suburban kids raised by two professional parents that's out here doing the same thugging, trying to be seen and trying to be felt out in these so-called streets. You see what I'm saying?
Faking.
Nathan
Yeah.
McCall wrote, he wrote a chapter in his book called "Faking the Funk" for PG County.
Yeah.
He talked
I mean,
about
Who wrote that?
Nathan McCall.
Oh yeah.
Not
Make
to
me
make
want to
you
holler.
but it was the next book.
Yeah,
he
but
talked
you
about
see
that.
what I'm saying? So now that's how powerful the culture is. It is extended just beyond the hood.
Yeah.
Now we out in suburban America with kids that grow up in two-parent homes out here emulating the culture, and they're the ones out here pulling the trigger scared.
Yeah.
Because they done got caught up, or they want to be seen and felt and act like they're embraced by people that
Prove
do
themselves.
have to live in the hood.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy about it.
I mean,
You right.
Yeah, you definitely don't. I mean, like the wild point, man. I mean, just talking about snitching and code and stuff like that. Like, I mean, what if that's your loved one? You know what I mean? Like,
you ain't supposed to
You're
snitch.
supposed to go
Yeah.
to jail for somebody else.
yeah,
For real.
eventually is gonna find your house. If you ain't standing up for what's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, they can buy into it and stuff like that, but just getting smart and educated about what's going on, and I mean we watch these shows and we know how they real shows, but we know how they solve cases by people standing up and doing what's right.
Hey, I'm gonna raise another point. We got about 10 minutes left. I'm gonna make a point. Then I'm gonna frame it with some statements. Our young girls
Come on.
in hip hop, right? I listen. We had some great female lyricists all throughout, right? Starting with the real Roxanne. Now, shout out to the real Roxanne. But check this out. If you look at the dress of MC Light, of Queen Latifah,
Salt and pepper.
of the real Roxanne, of Salt and Pepper. Late 90s, it started changing with Lil' Kim and Foxy. But again, that's the crack era, right? Now, female hip hop is soft porn.
Oh, for sure.
It's straight up music that is so sexually charged that it is the only thing that's selling.
Yeah.
Right? It is the only thing being consumed. And to the degree, I was watching Aki was showing me a video of Ice Spice, right? Ice Spice is the new hot rapper in New York, right? Trap. She got a video with Nicki Minaj. Now, Nicki Minaj 40-something. Please go look at that video.
Wow.
It's porn.
We're not promoting it though, right?
Bruh.
No. I'm saying I'm going. Look at it
I just
for
want to be clear.
how much it's soft porn, right?
I can't wait to
And
see
look,
it.
and look, and Ice Spice, check this out. I was sitting there, he showed me another thing. He was making a point about her in a concert. She was rapping for about 2 minutes straight. Until she started twerking, the crowd was quiet.
Wow.
When she started twerking, the crowd went bananas.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So our girls, she the one that got the song A Munch, right?
No.
You think I was feeling you? No, you a munch talking about a dude performing oral on her.
Oh, wow.
That's all you could do to me, right? And so my point is, it's so sexual. I'm worried about our young girls because, the great Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad said, a nation can rise no higher than its woman, right? How high can we rise if our little girls are being sexualized at such a young age? And the imagery for girls is even worse for boys because these little girls gonna wanna. I'm sure they want to be that.
Little girls twerking got a pamper on. and
Yeah.
twerking.
Let me tell you something,
Got 'em
man.
in the video.
I got a niece when she was real young, man. She we was all around the house and she got up and she was twerking and I went off. You know what I mean? Like, nah, we not having this in here.
Right.
And I'm not allowing that type of behavior because it sends the wrong message to the wrong people that's looking at it. It could, if that person in that type of feel, and I just went off. I mean,
The number one.
her
Where did
mother
she
was
learn
there,
how to twerk?
grandma. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I ain't asked.
BET.
But one thing I
BET and maybe not
but-
her, but the mama twerking.
Right.
but yeah, but
Okay,
I
of
went
course,
I went
right,
off and everybody was just like before I even soon as she started dancing, I went in on her and she went and sat down.
Yeah,
She went and sat down
yeah,
because
It ain't cute.
sometimes, man, as adults, man, we see things and we let it go and we think it's
Yeah.
cute, we laugh it, and then the sickness of it, back in the old days, the sickness of it is like we at the house and everybody laughing and giggling, then the kid come in and show such and such how you dance, No, we're not promoting that.
nah.
You don't need to be dancing like that in front of these grown men. You don't need to be dancing in front of that, in front of kids, period. Go sit down somewhere.
Man, we got it's the we gotta. And again, do I love hip hop? Absolutely, man.
Yes, we do.
It's the form of expression. It's almost like equivalent to the discovery of oil in the Middle East in terms of the wealth that came into our community because of it. You got people our age that became young CEOs at 18, 19, 22 years old, right? But we never took control of the narrative. We never took the industry back. You know what I'm saying?
And so now when you got a documentary out on King Von talking about him being the first hip hop serial killer.
Yeah.
And in the documentary they talking about like all these dudes this dude done killed. This dude has killed at least 7 people.
Yeah.
And how he was promoted and glorified and obviously ends in his own death and his own murder.
Right.
What in the world are we promoting? But when you can go on Twitter nonstop and see somebody shoot somebody in the head now,
Yeah.
and all of this stuff on social media, just taking and making us so callous and cold toward life and death.
Yeah.
And then we use music to combine it and promote it.
Yeah.
And people get rich off of it. And we talking about people's lives here.
Yeah.
And folk making money off of it.
And bro, and them dudes, King Von and they live across the street from each other for real in Chicago.
Block 64,
Yeah, they like
63rd.
63rd,
I saw the
They
documentary.
got cousins that live on the other side of the street. You know what I'm saying?
Folk killing each
it's
other.
crazy, man. And that violence that's accepted with the gun culture, and that's the other thing with us, is gun culture, man. Everybody got to have a Draco. They got these switches on these guns, enabling them to get off military quality rounds in the hood. No target practice, no nothing, man. And it's destroying our people, right? We got too many people dying young with all of these funerals. They're shooting up the funerals.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? In the name of, I'm going to keep it 100.
Well, see, once again, we talked about masculinity.
Right.
And toxic masculinity.
Right.
And all of it is tied together. So whether we talking about education, whether we talking about values, whether we talking about masculinity, we talk about culture, all of this stuff is tied together. We cannot look at any of this in isolation. You got to look at it all as a collective.
Right.
That education, you properly educated, you hear that trash music, you're going to think
then
it's
it
trash.
can become entertainment or just trash.
Exactly. So it's all connected, and so we got to figure out how we can just extract the positive from it.
We got 3 or 4 minutes left. So what's our advice to parents? You gave some earlier. One thing I'm going to say is you got to know what your children's listening to.
Yeah.
Like I always wanted to know what y'all listening to. What everybody listening to now? And some people, at one time my brothers were like, man, you like the kids music. I was like, no, I'm finding out what's going on. I want to know the language. I want to know all of that. Because then I can talk to you about it, be like, oh yeah, we had some of that going on. I can put it in perspective for you. This ain't new. You understand what I'm saying? So I would encourage people, don't get your kid a device that don't know what they're listening to. You gotta know what they're listening to so you can provide some guidance and comments on it. Anything else we would recommend?
I want parents to think about how they can help change the culture and bring it back to being something positive and not shed such a negative light on our community and to be so acceptable of it. because in no other culture outside of our black culture do they allow that to be acceptable. You know, for it to be, you know, to call one another bitches and nigga or something, whatever they may find to be negative in their culture, they don't allow, and they kind of look at us and probably laugh, and that's why we're not respected in the world.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? And they just look at us as that's all we amount to. They don't see the brilliance of, you know, of our scientists and discoverers and the things that we've done. Though we've had Black History Month for years, and now every other culture has their own month now too. Hispanic Heritage Month, this, that, and a third. But again, the only thing that we're seen as are just pretty much idiots, you know, killing one another, glorifying things that are designed by other communities and whatnot, but just really devalue ourselves as a people. So do whatever you can do to try to get back the culture and be cultured. You know what I mean? Because there's a definition, you know, I'm all about trying to define things. And culture has a definition of being culture with refinement and that sort of thing, and intelligence and art in a more positive and enlightening way.
Be close to your kids. That's my recommendation. You need to be close. You need to know what they're listening to.
Yeah.
You need to pay attention. And if you see it changing their behavior, you know, like in my brother's case, step in and intervene, you know, shut it down. It's no different than anything else. You know what? You're not handling this properly. You're not handling this with the maturity that's required. I see you're not mature enough to handle this. Let me take this away from you.
Right.
When you can demonstrate that you are mature enough to listen to this and handle it, I give it back to you.
Yeah.
And so, and overwhelm them with the love you're talking about, and make sure that your voice is the loudest voice in their ear, and that your voice is the most positive voice they ever hear. And they need to believe that I, as a parent, am your number one fan and your number one protector. And outside of me and your mother or grandma, whoever, hey, the rest of the world, don't you be worried about what they thinking. What we think is what's important. Yeah. And you need to always be worried about what we think.
Right.
All right. Now, there's going to come a time when, you know, if you're doing positive things and great things, you may say, you know what, I can't apply 1980 stuff, 1990 stuff to 2023 stuff. You know, if I'm trying to be successful in business, you know what I mean? Somebody my age may say, hey, stay away from that AI stuff. That stuff will take over the world, you know? So that's when you need to know not to listen to me. All right. But outside of that, I need to be the strongest voice in their ear and love and overwhelm them with what I'm doing. And now I can let them consume this in a way that's not, you know, harmful to them.
What you got, Chill?
My thing is, hey, you know, I know parents, you know, they grown, they want to do their own thing, but at the same time, hey, you don't have to do your own thing in the midst of your kid playing that type of music. You know, once you drop them off at school or whatever, you can listen to that music, but just promoting that and it's almost that endorsement that let your kid know that that's okay, and you need to be, you know, letting them know that it's not okay. So that's my point. Jay Jizzle.
Oh, sir, that's it. Wait, what Jay-Z said? I want to rhyme like Common, but it don't make sense on my dollars.
Yeah,
he read that.
It's like, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil, so I ain't been rhyming like common sense.
Right.
So that's the thing is, to our age group and to the age group coming up about us, how important is it to you to save our people? Can you sacrifice the bag?
Yeah.
To save our people? And right now, most people in the mode not, but that's what it boils down to.
They sacrificing our people for the bag.
Yeah, we sacrificing our people for the bag.
And
we got to change that narrative, man, because at the end of the day, we all we got. We all we got, man. And we can't lose our culture and more people to the death, violence, and just ignorance. The stuff doesn't even make sense, a lot of the stuff we doing and accepting. So that's the B2m take on the state of hip-hop culture today. Again, we all for entrepreneurship. We all for people being successful. We just not willing to sacrifice the integrity and love that should be in our community to get it.
Yeah, they got to
So we
redefine
encourage
sellout.
everybody
Yeah,
else
that's
to
you the
redefine
sellout when you do
the
that.
new sellout, the new snitch. The new snitch is somebody that's not taking care of their community by weeding out the ignorance, the unnecessarily violence, and the pain that's been going on in our community. We need a bunch of healing, and just being consumers without thinking we got some responsibility not gonna get us there. Joaquin, what you gonna take us out with, man?
Hey, as always, in the words of the great Frederick Douglass, it is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. Peace.
And I won't stop until I'm winning. I'ma show them how true and independent get it. Whole game changed by the time I'm finished with it. We about to get this business handled in a minute. And I won't stop until I'm winning. They don't want me in the office 'cause I